Welcome to Alimentary, the podcast series where you will learn about your amazing body, how it works, and of course why food is so important, and also pick up some simple recipe and lifestyle tips and tweaks to help you to influence your health in a positive way. Consuming fermented foods daily is an amazing way to replenish our gut bacteria and so boost our overall health. So in addition to the last short episode of Alimentary about gut health essentials, I thought I'd ask some experts to tell me more and share with you some insights into what fermented food is and why it can be such a powerful boost to our health. Four Hands Food Studio is a business which produces naturally fermented foods and drinks. They source the best produce to make the highest quality product. The business was founded in 2018 by Rose Greene and Margot Desjardins, and they maintain a sustainable ethos using the principles which they set in place for their regenerative business model. That is, being environmentally focused, nutrition is key, minimising waste and usage of plastic, supporting small and local farmers and producers when they can, encouraging good relationships with suppliers, and leading by example. Their pop-up dinners have been hailed as the best pop-up restaurant in Ireland by the Irish Times. I'm your host Lynn, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about their business journey and passion for fermented foods in this episode of Alimentary with Rose Greene from Four Hands Food Studio. Rose, you're very good for joining me on the podcast today, and I really appreciate your time. So I was wondering, could we maybe start with, maybe you could let us know how you got started and how your interest was piqued with regard to fermenting foods.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to chat, and it's always lovely to kind of share a little bit about our story and to get people excited about fermented foods. So it's great. Yeah, I guess my background is as a chef. So I've worked as a chef kind of my whole career, and when I was working in a particular restaurant in Belgium, I actually, it was before I worked there, I was staging there. So I did a week stage and I tasted this fermented carrot that they had in like kind of a back storage area outside behind the restaurant, and it was their first kind of test of fermented foods, and it was my first taste of fermented foods, and I was just or knowingly tasting it anyway, and I was just really engaged with it, and like the flavor, the texture, the intensity, it just kind of piqued my interest quite a lot. And I guess what happened there is I got offered a job, and I went back, and I ended up becoming the head chef there very kind of rapidly, and I was kind of research and development chef as well. So I had that interest in fermented foods, and I kind of ran with it. So basically, I was like playing around in the kitchen, making things, testing things, reading books, and trying out things. So it's like kind of my childhood dream of playing around in the kitchen coming through, really.
Yeah, trying all
So
sorts of things.
yeah, exactly. So I guess for me, it began with flavor, and then what was very interesting, after a couple of years of being there, I guess we kind of got quite renowned for our fermented foods within the menu and our fermented drinks within our drinks pairing, our non-alcoholic pairing, and then a microbiologist from Antwerp University just read an article about it, and she came to eat at the restaurant, and we met, and then we kind of started working together a little bit. So that's where I kind of veered into the more health, like understanding of the health aspects and stuff like that. So I guess from there, my interest grew even more, just like having a better understanding of it. It wasn't just flavor anymore. There was so much more involved in it. So that's kind of where it all began for me.
Brilliant. And would you know much about sort of the history or cultural significance of fermented food? You know, did it originate from any one part of the world in particular, or?
Well, I guess there's so many different types of and aspects of fermentation. Like here in Ireland, like our butter would have been like a very early kind of ferment. So it would have been done in everybody had their dairy cow, or not everybody, but most people had a dairy cow that they would milk from, and then they would separate the cream, and it would be left in an area until they compiled enough to churn it into butter. So it could be left there 3-4 days a week all together, and that would naturally ferment. There was no addition to it. There was nothing added to it. It was left in a cool area, and then that would sour, just because it was basically the necessity, because they weren't going to churn a little bit of cream at a time. And then, like a lot of things, it just happens naturally like that, and then it's churned, and then it's a natural cultured butter. You've got different countries with different kind of kombucha and stuff like that. I know it's kind of Eurasia kind of area, like those kind of cultures have come from. There is other kind of milk related cultures as well, from, I think, like Northern Europe and things like that as well. Then in a lot of like Eastern Europe, there would be still like very much part of their daily habits would be sauerkraut and stuff like that. Definitely Korea, it's like, I think, I don't know how many kilos of kimchi is eaten per person, and I worked with a lot of Korean chefs in the restaurant I worked in Belgium, and every region within Korea would have a different kind of recipe, or they would have grown up learning a different recipe from their grandmother, for instance. And it was all down to locality. So it was all down to, if you were by the sea, they might throw in some sardines, or they might throw in this. If you were in a more like landlocked area, it would be this, because it was what you had. Years ago, we didn't have the kind of the global trade and the transport that we do now. So everything was kind of, you made what you had, where you had it, and a lot of these techniques they were preservation techniques. They are still preservation techniques. It wasn't, I don't think people knew about all the health benefits that they got from them. It was just a natural process, because they didn't have refrigeration. They were growing a lot of foods themselves, and you don't want that food wasting. You want to be able to store it. So there's lots of interesting kind of, I think, it's like anything. There's a reason why something starts, and then maybe as it goes along, we kind of start understanding the goodness and the benefits out of all of these kind of ancient techniques that have been around for so long. And we kind of, we don't need to understand them sometimes. You just need to consume them.
It was like an indigenous wisdom that science is just proving now, was helpful, beneficial to our health.
Yeah, like it's like everything. It's like herbal medicine, and it's like Chinese medicine. It's like all of these things that, people kind of were a lot more in tune with nature, and a lot more in tune with their surroundings and what they needed, because they needed to sustain themselves in every way, and their health, being a massive part of that. So, I guess, and that's what's so nice about the fermented foods as well, is like, if you really get into it, it really, it's not just about eating something or making something. There's a whole other process that it's quite calming, and you can connect in with it, and you can connect in with, say, producers, and you can, it's just, there's a lot more than just the nutritional benefits that you can get out of it. I think you can get a lot of emotional benefits too.
Yeah. So just going back to the process itself, so fermentation, I suppose we think of, with alcohol, beer and that kind of thing. And and then you just mentioned, that was very interesting about the butter, actually. I hadn't thought that was sort of an Irish version of a type of fermentation process. So could you tell us a little bit about the process? Is it, say you're fermenting vegetables, is it a long process?
I guess, like, the way that we ferment, we like to give it a long process because of the flavor and the stability. If you read in magazines and books and some things, like, people will say, you can ferment and it's ready in 2 weeks. Like, technically, it's safe to eat, because in that first 10-12 days, there's like a bacterial kind of war going on, and it definitely is safe to eat after that period of time. But the longer you leave it, the more complexity of flavor you get, and then the more complexity of bacteria you get as well. And because, say, for instance, you're making a sauerkraut, so a naturally fermented cabbage, all you're doing is you're adding, you're chopping up your cabbage, you're adding a percentage of salt and you're massaging that until you get like this nice brine, the liquid that comes out of the cabbage. And then you're putting it into a vessel, a container, and you're pressing it down so that there's no air getting to the cabbage. So it's submerged in its own liquid, or you're adding a brine to that to kind of make sure it's completely submerged. And then you're closing it into a jar that there's no air. So it's anaerobic. The bacteria that you want to kind of develop, they don't like air. So you're cutting that off. You're giving the salt, so they like salt, and then other bacteria don't like salt. And then you're slowing down that kind of, you're slowing down that process to allow those lactic acid bacteria to develop nice and quickly. And then over that process, what's happening is that at a certain level, you've got a certain range of bacteria, whatever names they would be, and then as they, ferment the cabbage, the pH is reducing. So that bacteria that are kind of starting off, they actually don't like that pH anymore. It's too acidic for them. So then other bacteria will develop. And that's why we get, different aromas during the process of fermentation and different flavors. If you do get 6 cabbages and you ferment 6 of them in the exact same way and leave them in jars, and then open one in 2 weeks, open one in a month, and continue on to 6 months, it's the same cabbage, the same amount of salt. All you're doing differently is giving it more time. So basically that time process is like what we feel it's very important for us, because we want to make a product that one tastes really good, because that's like, it's not just myself, it's my partner Margot that runs the business. We run the business together. So like flavor is a massive thing for us. And then it's also that the benefits people get, those nutritional benefits out of what we're making. So the two of those are linked quite closely together.
Well, it's the diversity of bacteria in the gut which really benefit our immune system and our overall health for sure. Would you, sauerkraut, I suppose, would be well known for fermented cabbage, but really, you mentioned carrots earlier. I mean, there's a variety of vegetables that can be fermented.
Yeah, definitely. And one of our, it's probably, our kombucha is probably our most popular product, but the fermented carrot juice is definitely our, I think it's probably less popular because we can make less of it, and we don't have it available as quickly as the kombucha. But that's like, people come back to us, like if that's not on the shelves. Like me and Margot work in a health food store part-time as well. And our products are there. And so we have direct kind of communication with our customers, and they really miss it when it's not there. And they're really kind of not anxious, but they share how much benefit they're getting from it. Like that, some people say that they've been taking a lot of, capsule type probiotics for a long time, and they get certain benefits from it. They tried ours, and the benefits are much greater. And people take it, for sinus issues and stuff like that, or just digestive issues, or lots. It's just a powerful ferment that's quite easy to take as well, because it's in a juice form. So, some people can be a little bit, they are an unusual flavor if dependent on your palate and everything like that. So it does take a little bit of, getting used to. But
giving it a try. I haven't actually tried a fermented carrot juice, so I'm going to have to give that a go. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, we do one with turmeric, so it's kind of and then one with ginger, so it's just that added kind of anti-inflammatory kind of benefits, along with the probiotic kind of hit that you get as well. So I think definitely gut health is just, it's probably the number one thing that people have complaints with, and it's one that is often overlooked by people and by medicine as well, because a bit of bloating, a bit of gas, a bit of this, a bit of that, it's normal, and people kind of go on with it for years and years and years, and then and they kind of realize that it's giving them more problems, and it's very uncomfortable. And it is really, really important, because it's linked to it's not just your gut, it's everything else in your body, your mood, and autoimmune diseases. And
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the body signaling that there's something not quite right. If you're bloated all the time, of course, people can be every now and then, but if it's constant, any bloating or discomfort in the digestive tract eventually will lead on to other issues. And even for, as
Hmm.
you mentioned, our mood, so we do produce some of our neurotransmitters in our gut. And so, of course, if our gut's upset, we're not going to feel in top form
Hmm.
either, So
Yeah.
it's such a simple way to benefit your health, because even eating fermented foods, even say a fork full of sauerkraut a day, a shot of your carrot juice a day, like that has huge benefits, that small amount.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think like they are transient bacteria, so they're bacteria that kind of move through your system, and you get those benefits along the way. So it is important. One, it's important to have a diversity of of bacteria coming in, and a diversity of foods as well, like super fiber rich foods, and like eating a broad spectrum of things. And we all know we should be reducing a lot of stuff like
Yeah.
it's not the most natural of foods to be putting into our body. But yeah, like mixing it up a little bit, sauerkraut and
Mm.
kefir. Kefir is great. Kefir is a product we don't make, like milk kefir, but there's fantastic products out there, and it's super easy to make
Yeah.
yourself. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
there's so many things. There's a lot of things that okay, it's a lot of effort maybe, and it dependent on your kind of routine and all of that, that it's maybe too much to take on to begin with. But like definitely, I think anybody listening to this, like start with milk kefir because it's very, very powerful. And you can take a small amount of it and get amazing benefits. And you know, you can make that yourself. So if you are, wanting to make a ferment, that's an easy one to get going with. It's very, it's very straightforward. You can get into a routine, and you can check in with people that might have kefir grains and get them from it. Some of the other ones, they might be a bit more technical,
Mm.
like our juices or our krauts and stuff like that. Sometimes even the kombucha, because like people are always like, our kombucha is our most popular product and they love the flavor of it. And then people say, "Oh, I make kombucha," and then they taste ours and they go, "Oh God, it tastes
It's
like vinegar."
different. Yeah.
They're kind of because and they're like, "It's
Yeah.
so easy to make," and
Yeah.
it's very easy to make vinegar, but
Exactly. It's not easy to make it taste good, but it's
yeah,
so easy anyway.
yeah.
And Rose, is there anybody that especially as you said, it's great that you're chatting to people in the health food shop, so you get this feedback directly from customers. Is there anybody that would need to be a bit cautious before they'd introduce fermented foods?
Yeah, so definitely, like I think, one, it's important if you're not used to eating fermented foods in your diet, it's like don't eat a whole jar or drink a whole bottle, or just
Yeah.
take it into your diet like bit by bit, a
Yeah.
small amount, and see how you react to it. Um, they're also like people that do suffer with like digestive issues, like different irritable bowel kind of
Mm.
aspects. Like sometimes it can be really beneficial, and other times when there's a flare up and stuff like that, it can actually be aggravating. So
Mm.
it's just important. It's like anything really. It's just try things and see how your body reacts to it. And some
Exactly.
people as well, they can like ferments, like kombucha and things like that, can be very detoxifying as well. So if
Mm.
you've got a lot of toxins in your body and you've got a lot of like you're eating very unhealthily and you're kind of, and then you decide to go on a kombucha or a fermented food kind of fasting diet or something like that,
Yeah.
your body can react to it as well because it's a
Of
bit
course. Well, you
overwhelmed. It's
feel
like,
awful. Yeah,
yeah,
you feel awful when you're detoxifying, and you have to do it slowly, and you have to do it like with all of the other aspects in place, like your obviously water and flushing out, supporting the liver and all of that as well. So
yeah.
yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense. Yeah.
it's important. Like if you're going to don't do anything. It's like don't go crazy on anything. And if you're
Mm.
doing something that is a little bit, not extreme, but that's a big change, it's
Mm.
get the support that you need in place to help you along the way from like some kind of professional that can
Yeah,
assist you and make sure that you're, doing things in the right way.
exactly. Um, is there any food that you've come across that you really wanted to ferment and you found particularly challenging, or really
Um,
can you ferment anything?
um, Technically, you can kind of ferment anything. If it's
Mm.
going to taste good, is another kind of story.
I would
Um,
imagine the
I guess,
fermented fish is I've never tried that. That's
um,
kind of
well,
Scandinavian, is it?
yeah, to be honest with you, I used to make, like, I don't do it anymore, but when I was working in the Wolf, like when I was there, and like we did a lot of like I was very interested in using fermentation as a technique to reduce our waste. So to utilize something that we weren't using on the menu, or like that was a waste product almost,
Yeah.
and so like we used to butcher whole animals, and we get all our fish in obviously whole and stuff like that. So it was trying to use byproducts of that. So
Mm.
we made a miso style product with beef from that. So
Wow.
like the like trim that was minced, and it was made like it's not something you would spread on your toast or something like that. It was very much a condiment.
Mm.
And the same we did that with mackerel, with like smoked mackerel. And that, yeah, they were really amazing. It was obviously, it
Mm.
was very technical and stuff like that, so not maybe something you'd make at home. But then I guess I was trying to work with farmers and what their waste products were, and trying to utilize, plants at different stages in their life cycle and stuff like that. And it's just sometimes things are better for compost, I think.
Yeah.
Just you can technically ferment it, but are you getting much benefit from it? Like you kind of, you want something to be really nutritious and good for you, but you also want to enjoy the experience of eating it.
Yeah.
So there is a few things that, and then it's just like, some things are better for pickling. It's
Yeah.
not a fermentation process, but it's a good preservation technique as well. You know, something, and for a shorter period of time, like I've fermented things, and could eat them 6, 8 years afterwards, and like they're absolutely amazing, and they're really stable. Then the pickled products, you kind of, you can use a good vinegar, but you are boiling it, so you're not getting any kind of bacterial benefits from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess, yeah, there is like it's worth playing around, and everybody has a different palate and a different
Mm.
taste. But
Your restaurant sounds amazing. I wish
yeah, well,
I'd
it's not.
known about it when you're there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was good in its time. It's no longer there anymore, but
Yeah,
it was very much at the forefront of lots of things and stuff.
it
So
is.
it was
Yes,
a place.
certainly sounds like it for sure. Um, are there any sort of is obviously fermentation has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, if not longer. Is it changing or evolving at all, or is it still pretty much the same process as it always was?
Yeah, I guess like the process is they're very simple processes, and
Mm.
then it's just it's people's interpretation of those processes. So yeah, I guess everybody has a different style, like of making ferments. Certainly different businesses would work in different ways. So I think the process are kind of, you know, they're not
Yeah,
changing too much because they're very simple. But
yeah,
yeah, then it's about just it's the flavors and the textures that you want to create from it. So yeah, I'm not really sure if it's
yeah,
changing that much. I guess the understanding is kind of is there a lot more. So that's changing the way people are thinking about fermented foods as well. I think
yeah,
it's becoming like it definitely is. People are a lot more aware of the benefits. So it's becoming a lot less niche, and people are kind of willing to try it because the research is there and the
mm,
information is there, and you're kind of it's that's coming at you. So
yeah,
I think people's kind of, and as well, people are so familiar with like cheese and beer and
yeah,
butter, and they kind of now they're becoming more familiar with kombucha and sauerkraut, and which they're all kind of, they're not the same processes, but it is the same process. It is fermentation. It's just a different types of fermentation.
yeah. And there's certainly a growing number of companies in Ireland who are producing products like sauerkraut, kefir,
Yeah.
and kombucha. Is it a fairly close community?
Yeah, well, like there's a lovely company that just we've kind of slowed down a little bit on certain aspects of our business. On the sauerkraut, we just kind of because it's such a long fermentation process and everything, we don't sell that in stores anymore. We're like also we're like micro size. We only supply a few stores, and then we do direct sales. So our sauerkraut and stuff like that, we only sell it to like direct customers, so people that contact us
Yeah,
and buy like our subscription box or or buy a selection of what they want from us. But there's a lovely new company that I'm in touch with. I think they're based in Monaghan, and they're using like suppliers and stuff for locality. So that's really nice to see, and
Yeah.
that it's I guess not focused on importing produce from exterior, which is something we're, it's a very important aspect of our business.
Mm.
And because there is amazing produce produced in Ireland, it is
Yeah.
more costly, obviously. Um, but we need to support those producers and those farmers. So businesses that are doing that, I can totally get behind and support
Mm.
and promote as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant.
it's nice to see new companies coming up that have that same kind of
Mm.
thought and care about what they're doing.
Yeah. With your background as a chef, I suppose having moved into being a producer, what's the most rewarding part for you of being involved in and producing fermented foods?
I guess yeah, well, I guess it is very, very different than the kind of restaurant kind of world of things, and it takes a bit more time to maybe get established and get people to know what you're doing and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's there's a lot more control in it. You can control how you're working, how that kind of balance is a lot is a bit easier. And then I think what's lovely as well is the people that we like our wholesalers, so people that we
Yeah.
the shops that we supply to, and how that just kind of naturally kind of came about of people contacting us, and we were kind of growing in the natural kind of scale. So like all of the people that we sell our products to, that have their little stores that they really care about, and that they select all of the produce and put a lot of thought and effort into it. Like, we're really happy to have them have come to us and ask for our produce, so they can share it with their customers. So that kind of little chain is always lovely. And
Yeah.
then getting to kind of to see people, and chat to them that have actually, that use our products on a daily basis, and that really get the benefits out of them, and just enjoy them for the flavor or enjoy them for the benefits. And that's what's
Yeah.
nice as well about our subscription that we started there earlier this year, is that we kind of communicate directly with people. So we can tailor things to them, and give them a little bit of advice if they need that as well. So yeah, I think
Brilliant.
it's
Yeah.
lovely that it's a more lasting kind of
Mm.
relationship than somebody comes in and eats, and
Or
you see them again, you know what I mean?
that's
So
true.
there's
Yeah.
more connection.
Exactly. And the fact that you're communicating with them, it's not that they just go onto a website and place an order, and
Yeah,
you
exactly.
actually get to know them and their needs.
Yeah.
I believe you have pop-up restaurants, or
Yeah, well, that's something that we did kind of prior to COVID. We
okay.
were doing pop-ups in Dublin and around the Midlands as well, and we are going to be. I guess it has been a very unusual few years for everybody, and we've been quite busy on other aspects. We're renovating a home at the moment, and I was caring for my mum as well, so we kind of certain aspects of the business we kind of put on hold. But
Yeah.
I will be launching a couple of dates probably later this month for the autumn kind of months, some workshops to be teaching fermentation, and then some dining events as well.
Oh, brilliant. And
Yeah.
can people sign up for your newsletter? I'll be putting a link to your website and everything in the show
Yeah,
notes, Rose, so we can sign up to your newsletter so that we can find out when all of those things are happening.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, the newsletter
Brilliant.
again. Kind of slowed down. It was been very good at the start of the year. News resolution: get your newsletter out every month. And the last couple of months, we've just been so busy. We're renovating the house, and we're doing a
I'm
lot of the
sure
work
that's a
ourselves. So it's been a bit hectic.
it's a
So some
full-time job.
customers have been emailing, going, "Are you guys okay? Where have you gone?" So
Yeah.
definitely do get in
You're
touch.
you're
Join
okay.
the
You're painting instead of fermenting for a few
Oh, well,
months.
we're plastering and we're
Yeah.
building and we're everything. But no, we're fermenting as well. It's just our
Yeah.
communication has wavered.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely, yeah, join the newsletter. And
Mm.
even like if you're just send an email,
Yeah.
because the newsletter we will get back on top of it. But our Instagram, we'll share things on there as well, and get in touch through Instagram or directly in the email, and we'll definitely get back to you if there's anything you're
Yeah.
really look for sure.
Lovely. I just thought I'd share before we finish up, on your website, you have the vision for your business. And it's to live in a world where nature comes first, where we as humans see ourselves as part of nature, not above it, to see all people open to receive the goodness that our natural surroundings have to offer, showing respect and gratitude for how lucky we are to live in a world which knows better how to care for itself than we ever could. That actually gives me a lump in my throat. It's actually really beautiful. So it's really lovely, Rose. So
Thank
your
you.
business ethos is
Yeah, well,
fantastic.
thank you for reminding us of that as well. It's so, you put so much thought and effort into how you convey what is important to you and how you work, and put that down on words so people can kind of see it, because you're not unfortunately you're not able to meet and talk to every single person that might like our products. So it's nice, that that's resonated with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, not at all. Thank you so much. I've learned so much about fermented foods today. I do love sauerkraut. I love kombucha, but I'm definitely going to order that the carrot juice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different types to try. So thank you so much, Rose.
Yeah,
It's been really
you're very
informative.
welcome.
Thanks a million.
Thanks so much. Take care. Have
And
a lovely day.
my thanks to Rose for her time, and it was lovely to hear from an artisan food producer who's so curious and passionate about not only how the food tastes, but also committed to the nutritional value of her produce and to the local supply chain as well. So of course, the store cupboard staple for this episode has to be sauerkraut. Now, the word sauerkraut translates from German to English as sour cabbage. And I suppose traditionally sauerkraut would have been made from cabbage, but as we heard from Rose, many vegetables can be fermented. So it's a general term now. The fermentation process allows the sauerkraut to stay fresh longer than the unfermented vegetable as well. Now, it has what I would describe as like a tangy flavour, and has many health benefits, including those of the vegetable which has been fermented. So for example, if we're talking about cabbage, then this counts as a leafy green, and cabbage contains nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin K1, iron, folate, manganese, copper, potassium. Your liver loves cabbage, so that's amazing, and amazing for your gut as well. Now, thanks to the fibre and probiotics in sauerkraut, it's brilliant for digestion. So the probiotics, thanks to the fermentation process, will replenish our good gut bacteria, and that's necessary for all aspects of our health. So our digestion, our mood, our immunity. And the fibre from the vegetables can, keep us moving, keep us regular. So it can help both constipation and diarrhea. Now, there's approximately 2 grams of fibre in half a cup of sauerkraut. Now, sauerkraut also contains sodium, so we just don't want to overdo it either. So a forkful or 2 goes a long way, and you get like amazing benefits from a forkful or 2 a day, and probably shouldn't have more than half a cup a day just to be on the safe side. So of course it should be part of a varied diet, and a variety of plants is what's really beneficial for our gut. So 1 serving a day would be plenty. There is a lot of sodium in processed foods, and they are generally the culprit if somebody is taking in too much sodium, but it's good to be aware, because obviously too much sodium can lead to, an increased risk of other health issues. Now, sauerkraut can be purchased in jars, and you can get it in the supermarket, and I do like to, when I can, buy from local artisan food producers, and you can order online. So I ordered a box from Four Hands Food Studio since I chatted to Rose, and oh my gosh, the sauerkraut is amazing. I got the red cabbage, and what I'll do is when I'm ordering it again, I will order a different one, because it's good to vary these things up and get in obviously a variety of different types of sauerkraut as well. But also herself and Margot's kombucha is absolutely delicious, and as is that the probiotic carrot and carrot drink that she mentioned too. They really are amazing. So I'll put a link down to their website and with their email address and everything where you can order, and they came in the post very quickly. But you'll often see them at local food markets, and some shops are actually also starting to stock maybe the local fermented food producers as well. So keep an eye out for those, because you can get in the supermarkets, but those local artisan food producers are producing amazing flavors, so I would tend to go with those when I can. So once you've bought your sauerkraut, what are you going to do with it? Well, it is really versatile. So you can use it as a condiment with your meal or as a side dish. It's fabulous with salads or in a sandwich or a pita. It can be eaten, with, say you're having a snack. So maybe like a seeded cracker with maybe some chicken, and add some sauerkraut on top, or eggs. Amazing with eggs, actually. So if you're having some poached eggs with avocado on toast, fabulous with that, with just the eggs or just with the avocado. So it really can be used in any way. I have started to put it out on the table as a condiment, when I'm setting the table for dinner. And even if, I don't want to mix it in with the particular meal I'm having, I can have a forkful or two before it if I haven't had it with my lunch. So hopefully there is enough information there for you to add some sauerkraut into your shopping trolley this week. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I just wanted to clarify that the podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional care from a doctor or trained health professional, nor constitute medical advice or services if you're in a position to need either. However, if you found it interesting, you can subscribe to make sure you don't miss future episodes, or sign up for my newsletter on lynsharkeynutrition.ie.